and teaching. Hello, Mr. Kesh. Would you like to go ahead, please?
Yes, good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers program from Keshe Foundation and Space Shipping Institute. As we are here to share knowledge, we try to understand a little bit more and add knowledge in a direction that can serve the purpose of extending the understanding the world of creation. Today's teaching will follow the same as past couple of weeks, as now we're trying to explain the scientific part plus connection to everything else we've done in the past, as the knowledge and technology has been step by step. As we said, with a new knowledge, we cannot just theoretically speak, we have to deliver scientific and systems that can prove and show it is, that we don't become another religion, another sect or whatever. So it's a knowledge and a science together, what we call the theology, we theorize, and then we bring the systems that they can bring that knowledge into reality. We have seen in the past few months, we spoke about the soul. We understand the soul even is itself is a creation of us, it creates from interaction of the fields, which creates a plasma. That plasma in interaction with the field of this environment creates another dimension of field interaction, and that with the environment of the whatever it is creates a manifestation of physicality. If you don't decide to manifest your physically yourself, you can still do so, but you still exist in both dimensions of the physical feeling the environment and one interacting with the rest of the universe, what we call the soul of the man. The teaching of the cosmic rays, which we started a few weeks ago, and then we'll come later on to universal rays, which man has no knowledge of at the moment, is not something new. In 2006, 2007, and following the work we did in Belgium, as we explained before, when University of Brussels, VUB, and then the company which we interacted with, brought the condition of confirming the technology, different aspects of technology, we came across SCK, the Nuclear Center of Belgium, which is now more or less Central European Research Center, with the Germans moving in there, making the first new prototype nuclear reactors for isotopes for medical application and the rest of it. The scientists were fronted by the Belgians, but behind it the Americans and the rest of Western world scientists want to look into what is this technology. They asked me for what that time was what we call the production of electricity, power, and everything else, and how this works, what it is, how did you come to this arrangement and understanding. And with the presence of the notaries and representative of the Keshe Foundation, we agreed that I give them 3 conditions of materials. I said, I choose which one I give you. I've said this before, maybe you'll find it in other teachings. I gave the scientists of the Belgium Nuclear Center a bottle. I said, this bottle, the material in it, represent the condition of the body of the man. Now you call it ganses. That time they did not understand these things. I gave them a second bottle. This represented the condition of life in the solar system. And then I gave them a third bottle. I said, when you understand this, this gives you the condition of the life in the universe, what we call cosmos. Each bottle was about 1 liter Coca-Cola plastic bottles. And we gave this to them to test. And after about a couple of weeks, they called back and says, can we have some more water? What you gave us. And they had 2 reasons. They already gone through testing these things. They found things they couldn't see. Later on, we found out what they found out. And it was to see if the material was not proved just willy-nilly or accidentally, and it had a scientific structure behind it. And after they received the second set of bottles, they asked for a test to be done in SCK. I was invited into this test, and they vacuumed the 1 cubic glass container to absolute total vacuum they could get, and we start producing the material inside this vacuum. When the test was done, they discovered a lot of things they couldn't understand. And I was told by the scientist at SCK that before these tests start, the policy was that whenever we moved any nuclear material from one building to another, it had to be registered that such a material has moved from which building to which building in the nuclear center. And with the test we've done now with your material, the policy has changed. Anything moved from one room to another has to be registered. We didn't know, we couldn't understand how easily nuclear materials can be produced at will. And you have understood and you've created, but we don't understand how you do it. And I explained to them the knowledge, understanding of the process of creation is in stages. You start from the low, if you live in the atmospheric condition like Earth, or you start from high, break down to low, if you come from cosmos. And the material provided was essence of creation, essence of life, what we call cosmic rays, what we call interaction of the process of the fields of the universe. In the past couple of months, 2 or 3 months, I brought those cups to you in a different shape or form. And it was like a movie, watching you as knowledge seekers, how you watch this movie. If you watch some of the movies, they show you the end at the beginning, and then they show you the movie. And then you chase to see what happened at the end, which what you saw, how did you get to the end? We did that with you. The Christmas present was the beginning of that movie. 100 of you, maybe 150, 60 of you came in, and in a very simple way, we showed you the end when you all interacted with the soul of the Creator. And we showed you physically. But at the beginning was just you as humans, souls of humans, coming into the movie theater, not knowing what you're going to get. A lot of you came with different expectation, but you never considered possibilities of that your soul come in interaction with the soul of the Creator. So I showed you the end of the movie and the beginning of the movie. This is where you're going. This is where the soul of the man will meet the soul of the Creator. And you are just happily going around. And we started the second session, which was the 20th last week. This is preparing you to be ready to take that journey into the path, into understanding, into interaction with your Creator, which is was the end of the movie, showing in the beginning. We showed you in the first session what is going to come. But now we're showing you the way. Last week, 160, 70 of you came in. We see massive interactions with a lot of you. Some of you went through a dimensional change and understood. Some of you felt very much deeper, in a deeper way, the understanding of what is the soul of the man, interaction with soul of man. Last Friday, 20th, was the first step of the movie. And that was to show how you interact, how you bring your soul out. You cannot start this journey if you're still encapsulated, imprisoned inside the physicality of the man. The session of last week was to show how you can expand your soul to touch the soul of physicality and embed it. This is why in that session we told you, you see flash of light. If you feel that flash is when the soul of the man touches the soul of physicality of the man. And the second flash is when your soul interacts with the soul of the cosmos, the soul of the creator. And then to see and for you to understand that you pass and you interact with your soul of physicality, we ask you to interact with the soul of the prophet and elevate, because you elevate at that point with the soul, what we call the spirit of the prophet. Their soul is perfect, like your soul. Your soul is perfect. It's the soul of physicality which brings all the misfunctioning of the physicality. And then, as you were there, we ask you to the next step and how you interacted. So you started the journey to meet, to live, to understand the new cycle. But in this journey, plasmas give, plasmas take, and you need to be able to give what you don't need and take what you need to elevate your soul to the next step. You need to feed it. In the physical body, you eat food to sustain, to grow, and to mature, to understand more, to live a life. It's the same in the world of the creation of the soul. It needs to give and it needs to take to be able to survive and know what it takes that it evolves to the next one. This is why we have called in the 19th of February, what do you call it, dining with the Creator. Which means you learn how to feed yourself. How to feed the soul of physicality, how to feed the soul, and how to feed the spirit that holds on to the soul. You cannot travel the span of universe if you're a soul alone. You have a purpose. So inside you, what you created as a spirit becomes the inner core. Does not need the physicality. It's you who decides at what point the soul interacts with its environment that allows the soul of physicality to create the physical condition. So when you travel the span of the universe in the dimension of the plasma, you travel with this, what we call the spirit within the soul. But at a point, the interaction of the two creates the gravitational fields and dimension of the existence. Now we understand the process. So on the 19th of February, join us to dine with your Creator, dine with your soul, dine with your spirit. And in a way, dining is not to eat, to interact, to give and take what you need to survive this planet universe. I cannot make you passengers of universe if I still have to hang a reactor behind you to feed you with it. You have to learn with it. You are not at a school child with a backpack of food pack in your rucksack. Mom put in there that when you get hungry during the school time, you can dip in. Now you understand the work of the creation. You give, you take. So we have started the journey. Those of you who came in, and many of you felt a lot. It was in a way for you to be able to expand your soul, to pass, to see, to come in interaction with your spirit. Some of you don't see a light because you're still looking for the light. The light is not a physical light, it's the enlightenment. Those of you who came in and waited to see the light, oh, I didn't see the light, you're still in the dimension of physicality. The light in the dimension of the universal community is enlightenment, not the visible light to the eye of the man. Enlightenment that I don't need to see. I know what I do is there for me to survive the correct way. the ethos of Mitra. Now you understand how the knowledge comes together. In the what we call February the 19th, we brought it to a Sunday because we all have a Sunday lunch with the Creator. We take you to this process, through this process, to the dimension of physicality and then to the dimension of universal community. So now you have learned to get into the car, now you have to fuel it. Then it comes in the other sections in March and April, the other parts, how you interact, how you recognize the others, and we start the journey of the man into space. In the past few weeks, the Keshe Foundation Knowledge Seekers team have built a system. Today, later on today, Keshe Foundation will make the first attempt, complete attempt or stage attempt to bring the first man into LITS. Everything has been prepared for it, and we test to see from the other tests we've done, because our volunteer in the first test has felt his organs to be opened and loose. In the second test, he's felt that he's lifting up from his legs and taking off, ready to go. And today we attempt to see how far we can bring him. So the first transmutation through the teaching, understanding, and now developing the technology and science for it is on the way. It's not something to be done. Our volunteer will do everything possible. We have brought part of him into LITS, that we have a point of reference, and we are ready to take that step, to take man into the stage of transmutation. As I told you, January, February, we start doing it, and by March, April, we're ready to land the man on the moon. We are within the framework of the Keshe Foundation as we did. Even though we had a huge setback financially, we're still carrying on. In the process, at the same time of understanding everything else, the doctors of the Keshe Foundation in the background are doing a lot of work with their patients in their wellness. And we are monitoring how these things take shape, how the soul expands, how people overcome the conditions of mental condition, that it shows the expansion of the soul, how they come the physical condition and with in conjunction with their emotion, which brings in the interaction of what we call the spirit interaction and the rest of it. So it's not just we targeting something, we are taking a lot of knowledge from our doctors, a lot of knowledge from experiments we do, and a lot of things which are happening in the background. Developing the new energy system, developing the new plasma energy system. This week, our scientists have achieved on the same stage as what we did with SEK, the production of the plasmatic energy, no connection to any matter state, but creating power. This is part of the total development of what we call plasma power generators. Now we have managed to prove to create power in a sufficient way to be able to increase voltage and to add to our technology for the next stage, which now the system will feed itself and then it becomes self-sufficient as a generator. Our scientists, on the other hand, are working, maybe during today's session, we release a new system. It's on the test. And once our laboratories respond, if they do during the teaching, we'll let you know. And a new product known as a plasma compact unit will be released today. What this is a small box you put on your table, you plug it into the system, to your electricity, and you will see saving of between 30, 40, 50, 60, 70%, 80%. The compact unit is very small, and the commercial unit of it has already been released, which will be delivered this month or beginning of next month as it arrives. So the technology is moving on all directions. In that proposition, we will make announcements after the teaching for many of you. You'll be waiting for a lot of things. We're opening a new dimension in the work of the Keshe Foundation. So what I started with today was what we are teaching you today regarding the cosmic rays, regarding the interaction and creation of cosmic rays. What I started with the X-ray machines last week to show you how X-rays are created when you go to a hospital and under X-ray machine, and how that knowledge understood can lead to the creation of X-ray in a plasmatic strength, not in the matter strength. And with the work of the SCK, it shows you, explains to you that this is not something just done just to come up. It's been on the work for 17, 18 years to show. And most of you here, once you've been through the process of the interaction of the souls, now you make answers, you're far, far, far more knowledgeable than the top scientists of the SCK nuclear industry of the Americans and the rest. Even though you're a housewife, you're a mechanic, you do all sorts of things, or you're a child in the school. Your understanding from the correct basis is far beyond the professors in the universities in nuclear industry, in cosmology, in the interaction of the fields, and in the work of Tesla. So you have become new generation of scientists. As I said, in the universe, there are no universities for you to graduate. In what you understand in the process of creation, it graduates you to what and where you can live and how you live. Many men in the past millions of years, through their own contemplation and understanding, have reached different part of this technology. Technology of the creation, by the Creator. Technology of understanding how things done, and then they had to put it in a frame that others can understand you according to their own intellect. Today's teaching is very simple. We created the cosmic rays. We created the plasma. In general, all the fields, even the ones which have created you, are cosmic rays. They come from cosmos. They have not appeared out of nowhere suddenly and then become a cell in your body, or a nail on your finger, or a hair on your head. The hair on your head is part of the cosmic rays in their interaction, and with another interaction of another part of cosmic rays who create in another way called inertia, leads to creation of the balance, what you call your hair. So you're still part of that cosmic rays. When you die, what happens to your skin? It releases the fields, and if it comes in the path of the cosmic rays, it might become a cell of an ant, or it might become a cell in the body of another object in another part of the universe, in time, in billions of years. But today is part of you. But at the same time, this part of you, billions of years ago, was part of somebody else's. In another galaxy, in another part of the universe, where an interaction with the others has led to be at this moment of time, in this framework, in this shot of the screen of life, is your hair. So when we talk about the cosmic ray, don't get focused, it's only beyond the solar system. You are part of that system. You are part of the cosmic rays. So we study a macro and micro together in one position. Micro is your hair, macro is the cosmos, but they're all the same. It's the process of the creation. Now you have to understand how you can mix the fields of the cosmos to create hair. Then you come to understand how to mix these cosmic rays in different way. Call it the inertia is part of the cosmic ray, gravity is part of the cosmic ray, the matter you eat is part of the cosmic ray. How you mix these things together to make that hair, to make that the skin. And then how long you allow it to exist, how long you allow it to expand, how long you want it to be there. Then if you understand this, you become that guy in the hair salons with different dyes to make your hair blue, green, black, white, whatever you like. So the hairstylist of tomorrow will not work with the sprays. You go in a head unit, they create the condition of the blue hair, and you come out and your hair are blue. No chemicals. This is not something imaginary. If you go back in the history of the Keshe Foundation in 2009, 2010, 2011, and the knowledge seekers in Holland reported after going through the system, the wife was so excited that my husband used to have a white hair, she has more black hair, and she was flaunting it. So we already understood, but at that time, you did not. In this process, mankind comes to understand the reality of the creation. How do we interact with the fields of the universe? How do we interact with the fields of the cosmos that leads to the creation of me? At this moment of time, in this frame. Now you understand when I tell you I've been here a long time, I've been here a long time. Using different cosmic rays, different strength of the fields of the universe through the soul, I became the Moses, the Christ, the Jesus, Muhammad, Mehran, and the rest of it. In essence, it's the same. In how you feed it, you collect it. In you have to understand what you've been, what you become, and what you will become of what you are today. Now, there is no secret in the knowledge. Now, you met last week, you met the week before with in the dimension of the soul, you came in touch with the soul of the prophets. You've been touched by the knowledge, you're touched by the warmth, you're touched by the emotion in the dimension of physicality. As one knowledge seeker wrote, I saw the three lights. As one other knowledge seeker wrote, I felt my soul and I felt my spirit. So, what you need to understand is where the man is going. But the problem is, you don't know where you came from. And this is the enigma you are with and you have a problem with. In the new technology, in a very soft way, we show the creation of man in the physical dimension. Even we took pieces of the man, part of the man, and we let another man to create, that we don't create the Jesus who rose the dead. We saw how a father created the piece of the brain missing in the skull of his daughter. When Naomi's brain was created, regenerated by her father. So you have seen it, but you never understood. To you was a magic. Now you have the tools. Now we have built systems that can bring structure to any soul. We have brought the system to show how structures of the soul and the spirit can lead to the creation of the man. Now all you need to do is to understand the work of that X-ray machine. How you collect what field strength and how much you energize it of the energy of itself, which level of strength of the fields you choose in that bunch you call plasma, and how you bring it in the interaction with another soul, with another pack of energy called your spirit, called the soul of your mom, called the soul of Christ, called the soul of the Creator. And in that interaction, you see yourself in the dimension of the emotion of the soul, not in the dimension of physicality. Because if we show man can be, look, and be as part of the Creator, man at this stage becomes so arrogant that he'll call himself the Creator of the totality, where we are all part of a total creation. Now you understand the stage which the systems are built, the stage that the technology is going, is enough at the speed that a number of knowledge seekers can understand, a number of knowledge seekers can build, and knowledge seekers can go through the experience of. When we look, when we see, we understand. And then we go to the next stage. And then we come to understand the next stage. So the journey of the man in the movie of the life of the man was shown to you on 16th of December 2023, when what was promised was fulfilled, when you saw the man, the soul of the man, come in touch with the soul of the Creator. And the journey of the man to understand how to get there has started. You have to come out of the house to go somewhere. And you have to have with you the nourishment, the food you call it, that you carry on the journey, that what you don't need or what you need is with you to consume. Not in the shape of an apple and banana, but in shape and the strength of the field of the universe. When you came to Linz, some of you, when you finished the trials, I took you back in, or while you're in the room, I showed you the reactors which you sat in, because you see it is an open panel system. And I said, you see, this one is vertical, this one is horizontal. One unit works on the horizontal fields, one unit works on the vertical fields, one works in the fields of the universe, one works in the fields of the essence of the man. One is the bottle I gave to the SCK as the creation of the magnetic field of the solar system in conjunction with the universe, and one is the magnetic field bottle of the man. So the knowledge hasn't changed. It's the same knowledge, but it's put in different shape or form for different application, for different understanding of that point. The reason that we tell you that the new system is coming into operation today, we have brought the cosmic rays of the universe, the cosmic rays of the soul of the man, the cosmic rays of the what we call planetary system, and the cosmic ray of the spirits of the man into one system, which is going to be tested today. In a way, in a unit which is now getting completed, we have created the universe. When the second system comes into operation in a few weeks' time, then as there are two universes, we see, and in the future man will learn as part of the teaching, the work of the Unicos. When we bring the two other systems together, the old one and the two of the new one, we will see the interaction of the fields of the Unicos, the universe, the planetary system, and the man. And this is why we don't abandon the systems which are in use now, because they are part of the structure of the bigger. Then we will see the beauty of the creation. Then we'll see the manifestation of the new cycle of understanding for many people. You don't need to understand and feel the emotion if you are already part of it. You just got to comprehend, how did I come here? How I am existing as I am, and what is going to be the future of me. Then you understand in the teaching when I said, when the man cycle of life finishes on this planet as a physical dimension, the death is just the beginning of a new cycle. You follow where the soul is going. You don't wait for man, your father or your friend to pray for you to elevate your soul. You elevated yourself. You correct what was done wrong to be correcting what comes out right in the future. Then that way you don't need no prophet. You become the profiteer of your own action, of your own understanding, on your own intellect. Now you understand where I said 2023 is the time when the man matures the knowledge of the creation. In 2022, on the 16th of December, you met your creator. Now you want to find address and how to get to it, and then become part of it that you can create the others. How do we produce these cosmic rays? And how do we put them in a position to interact? How we create a generation of the fields, how we understand where the field centers are that we can tap into to receive. I run out of energy for such a specific strength in my soul. There is no supermarket to shop. There is no specialist garages you can go to fix it. But if you understand the sources, the energy sources of the universe, where they are, in what speciality, then you can tap into and you learn how to do it. As I said with the teaching of before, when we send the first passengers of the man to the moon in a few months' time, we just don't shoot a rocket. As I explained to our scientists, we take the essence of their soul and a small amount we target to the moon. We leave it not where we want, where it wants to be. And then by the law of the physics of the plasma, the smaller tries to feed, the bigger tries to feed the smaller, and the smaller tries to get from the bigger. And in that process, the bigger gets attracted to feed, and then it moves. And then it comes a point of balance where then you have to decide, I still want to have a spot back on Earth, but I want to take most of it to the moon because I want to see how the moon is. In a way, when you dream about your mother, you send them what you call the outrider out. Mom, are you awake? I'm coming. And if the answer is, I'm ready for you, the soul goes, you have a dinner with mom, and then you call it a dream. I was with my mom having dinner. Now you understand. Then you have to understand how to travel. In the future teachings, we teach you how to travel. You have a road which goes from Rome to Paris. So is a European road, and it's all fast road. You can go fast track. You can go on a plane in a shorter time, but you still spend a lot of times in the airport sitting. It's better to drive. I want to go from Rome to Paris, but I don't want to get there fast. I want to go through B roads and see the beauty of the nation, the beauty of the universe. I want to stop in different places. Or I go through C roads. That it means I go to the villages. If it's good, I stay for a while. I'll call it Earth. If it's good, I stay in planet Zeus for a while. But still the path is to the Creator. Still the path is to get to Paris. but I see everything. The guy who goes on an A road takes 5 hours. I go on a C road, I take 5 million years. But the journey is the same. When I came in the body of the man, I decided this is what it's going to be, so I take my time. Call it 5,000 years, call it 2,000 years, call it 1,500 years. It's all the same journey, it's the same soul. I decide where I put the tent and how long for, because I want to see all the beauties and all the cultures. I call it the Moses, I call it the Jesus, I call it the Muhammad, I call it the Buddha, and then I soak into the dimension of the world leaders to see how they lead and how the man needs to be, and how and who and where. So you have to understand the process. And the process comes through the knowledge. And the knowledge given to the man are learned by the rest of the universal community, as now the man, through the presence of the Creator's messengers, then what we call the universal teachers, is showing the path to the universe, to the Creator. The guys in UFOs have no clue. They know there could be a way, but they're still in their UFOs and you marvel them. Now, the whole of the universe marvels the man who has come to understand and knowledge the system, the craft that will take them to their Creator, what they've been wishing for and have been searching. As I said, the frog has become the princess. And now it depends who kissed it. Would you get a prince or would you get a princess out of it? It's a dimension of understanding of your soul, as there is no difference between the two. You got to understand that with a new technology, with a new understanding, with a new frame of work we set in Austria, we set the first steps for the man to gain the knowledge of the Creator. And now you have systems that the man in his physical greed can produce to reach that point. We set the scene. To you, we try to bring somebody from one country to another. But in essence, we want to show you how you can travel the universe, understanding the fields of the interaction. What field of strength you need to create to go to Paris? What field of strength you need to create to go to the village on the way to Paris? And then if you become educated well enough, how you create the fields that you like to go to the center of the earth, to the center of the galaxy, to the center of the universe, to the center of the unicorns, and to the center of the whole creation, the Creator itself. How much of the, what I call the onion peels of the knowledge can you peel to get to the center? You interact the fields. You create combination of the fields. You create condition of the interaction of them, that in essence you create a cosmos. And their interaction with each other releases fields which you call cosmic rays. And the interaction of the cosmic rays with different cosmic rays which are created in different stages of the same system gives you the spirit, the soul, the matter state, the planetary system, and everything else you have ever seen with your eyes or you can imagine. So, where would the knowledge go? How do we create to interact the fields and not get entangled with the magraphs? Even though we produce magraphs still, because it's one of the best ways to create the fields that in the future you can create the cosmic rays from it if you understand the work of it. With a new understanding, it brings a new intellect. And with a new intellect, it brings new expectation. With new expectation, it brings new challenges, new, what I call, friends. It brings knowledgeable people together to be in that level. I was talking to one of the knowledge seekers past few weeks, and she says something to me, and I know exactly what she says, and it's a pleasure to see. She says, I don't need the old friends. She knows she's on the line, most probably listening. I want the friends in the Keshe Foundation. I can make guesses, I can talk about them, about nanos and whatever, the plates or whatever. Because those chits out of the old time has no value when you can see the essence of the creation. When you become part of it, when you see the beauty of it, when you get benefited by it, then you understand there is more to life than a chit chat and a coffee drink. The whole structure is to elevate the soul. And the whole structure in the elevation does not come with the light. It comes by intellect. It comes by understanding where that light came from, how it was created. Is that the light of my soul and my spirit? Is that the light of my soul with my mother? Is that the light of my soul with a prophet? Or is it the light of my soul with the Creator? Or are you actually looking for a light or enlightenment? If you look for a light, it means you're still in the dimension of physicality. If you look at the end of the session and say, what I understood, that's an enlightenment. And this needs a separation. One, to understand what it means in the dimension of physicality, and one, to understand what it means in the dimension of the fields of the universe. I didn't see any lights, but it was very interesting. I realized this, and that. So, because you didn't see the light, the thing doesn't work, but you understood that it means you added to intellect. This shows a lot of our knowledge seekers have not reached that point of maturity, or they are in what we call the schizophrenic. They don't know if they are in a physical dimension or in the soul dimension, or they take one or the other, but they have not realized the beauty of their own creation, that they are in both dimensions. I see the light, but I understood the light too. So I have been enlightened while I've seen the light. This process will continue. In March and April, we'll bring more light into the whole understanding. We come to the point in February to join us. The panel, the lines has been open. You can book your place to dine with the Creator. As the last time you met and you went and you did the first stage of expanding the soul to encompass the spirit. You're on the road, now you gotta feed it. Then you come to understand what has been fed. The first time ever, we recorded the testimonials after the session, that in the future, people understand who was enlightened and who has seen the light. Or did the enlightenment come after you seen the light? As I said in the session of the Friday, some of you will come to understand after the session in the next few days about what happened. Then those of you who are there, what happened in the next few days? Did you come to understand more? Which is the true understanding? You became enlightened, even though you didn't see the light in the session. Now you understand, when I explained to you on the Friday in the session, that in the next few days you will see the light. And you're still waiting for that flash of light. But if you have thought and understood more about what happened, whatever, you're enlightened. And that's the true knowledge. That's the true light, not the flash of light in the eye. So join me on the 19th, on the Sunday, to have a Sunday lunch with the Creator. Dine with the knowledge of His and not with the apple and the knowledge. Understand the true meaning of the knowledge. Understand now you have to create systems which brings the interaction of the fields, as I've told you so many times. You're so bogged down with the magravs and Ganses that you don't see their fields. And now maybe gradually you start seeing, even though we still provide you, we make you magravs, that one day the enlightenment received from them will enlighten you to understand the world of creation. The magravs we give is not a power unit that you get electricity. It gives both. It has a physicality and what we call the spirit, which the field it creates around it, that it adds to your soul. This is what I told you many times. Sit on top of the magravs, go on top of them. Put something on top and you see the fields there. The electricity is in the box to light your house. The fields on the top to enlighten your soul. And it's you who have to understand. And we are making these so compact and small that more of you will come to be enlightened. That as you had enough electricity from beautiful Tesla. Tesla gave you the physical dimension of the light at any point, and I give you the enlightenment. Even the soul is the same. You just had to do the first part, that the physical side gets satisfied, and a couple of centuries later, the dimension of the soul. As I said, the cycle of the new messages comes from both sides. The matter state and theology. That no one can fool no one. We go through a break, we come back, and we have some beautiful announcements to make on the commercial side of the Keshe Foundation, and then we answer your questions. And I hope today's teaching open your eyes in where you're going to and how you are going. And you're the only driver, passenger, the car, and the beneficiary. Rick, if you can take us to a break and we come back.